Welcome to Regan's Corner here. I got a special treat for you, you Kouts fans, as your libero, okay? Emma Portis on today's program for you. So, Emma, how's it poppin' and how's it going?
It's good. It's good.
Okay, so how did you start in game of volleyball?
So I started when I was in seventh grade. Um, I originally started out as like a just like a fun thing to do. I played tons of other sports too at that time. But over the years, especially in the high school, I've like just grown so much. Like I've just grown to love it, honestly.
Absolutely. So, you kind of talked about uh, playing multiple schools. So,
Mhm.
multiple sports. My bad.
You're okay.
But what was the kind of factor that allowed you to just kind of be singling out kind of volleyball?
Volleyball was always I love like the team aspect of it and the mental aspect that volleyball brought. I also love how it wasn't super like physically draining necessarily compared to the other sports that I played. Um, and I loved like the coaches that I had coming up through the years, both middle school and high school.
Absolutely. So, did you play any travel ball or AU going
No.
up to? Okay, okay. So, what was that eighth grade to high school kind of transition like?
Um, it's definitely a super different level. Going from eighth grade, I was a setter throughout like pretty much my whole middle school career. I was a hitter a little bit, but then going into high school, I was on JV my freshman year, and I was also still a setter. I loved JV, absolutely adored it. The level was definitely a little bit different. The competition obviously got a bit more difficult. And then sophomore year, I was on varsity. I sat the majority of my sophomore year, still as a setter. And then junior year, I finally became a libero. I started to really get into the back row, like DS and stuff like that. And then honestly, I love being a libero now. I think it's like one of the best positions that I've played personally. It's such like a mental position.
Absolutely. It's like the point guard on that volleyball court. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so, with that huge senior class last year, Kodecker, Moyer, Guevara,
Mm-hmm.
um, and Kampuch, what can you kind of learn from that senior class that you're now bringing to now the young classmen, the Couts?
That senior class was very powerful. Like they were very athletic all around. They were smart players. And I think that's one of the things that I try to take from them coming down into this year. Especially we have a lot of new younger girls on the team. So I'm trying to keep that like aspect of being smart while playing, but also having fun. They taught me a lot how to do that. But yeah, I'm trying to teach the younger girls how to do that as well this year, as well keeping myself in that same mindset.
Absolutely. You kind of saw it with your outside hitters, with the
Mm-hmm.
game with Hebron hitting
Yep.
against the blockers. So, what are some things that you call as a libero, kind of seeing how the game's kind of going and kind of on that back end on the court?
Yeah, there's like a lot to look at. I don't really give too much criticism to my hitters necessarily. Sometimes if I see that there's like a hole in the court, um, against our opponent, I'll like point it out. Usually they're pretty smart about figuring it out themselves. One of the things that I do strive to like keep going is like the connection between me, my setter, and our hitters. Um, we try to make that like flow because I feel like it makes us play a lot better.
Absolutely. So, what are some things like superstition wise or kind of good luck charms that you use before a game?
I wouldn't say I'm super superstitious, but there are a couple things that I guess have like kind of become traditions before each game. I always wear the same like brand of spandex. I don't know. It just like has been something that I've done for the past couple of years. And then every time I'm getting subbed in for a set, one of my teammates, Olivia Miller, will always come and she'll just slap me on the back. and it just kind of like puts me in a headspace of like it like gets me ready to go.
Okay, okay. I mean, those are pretty good superstitions there.
Mhm.
What's it like having Olivia, a fellow senior that you played with basically
Mhm.
your whole life, right there next to you?
I adore her so much. I love having her on the team. She's one of the people that I know I can go to if I'm kind of struggling. She'll always have my back. I trust her cross digging all the time. I trust her if I'm kind of struggling on serve receive a little bit. I feel like she also trusts me as well. Yeah, I love having her as like my right hand man, kind of.
Absolutely. So, what's your favorite kind of play to go to and kind of scheme there on the court?
Well, we have a play called Buffalo, and it's like a quicker set kind of to our outside. It's one of our favorite. We always do like this thing. It's like Buffalo. Um, yeah, it's probably just that. It's like a cool little fun trick that we do.
Okay, nice, nice little audible, little Peyton
Hmm.
Manning action.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you might be like Omaha, Omaha, Omaha for a second there,
Hmm.
just to get people away from the Buffalo. Uh,
Hmm.
but but let's get into kind of coming into this year. What was the expectations after losing all those seniors with you guys coming in the beginning of the year goal wise?
Honestly, coming in this year, my goal was to just create more of like a team bond. I feel like we've really worked on that this year and to just have fun. Honestly, I didn't really have many expectations because I knew we were losing such a special group of girls. Um, but I didn't think that it was in any way, shape, or form gonna like diminish the progress that we were going to make either. I definitely thought that we could overcome losing them. Um, but yeah.
Absolutely. And you guys have reloaded in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the goals of the rest of the year after having such a good start?
Um, One of our goals as a team is to win PCC, to have that plaque in our gym, and to just continue bonding as a team, considering like obviously senior year, I'm just focused on being present in the moment.
Absolutely. You talked about senior year. So, what's that not going to be like when it's your senior night? After 4 years, um, basically playing varsity for 3, 4 years,
Mhm.
dressing as a freshman, playing a lot of JV that year, and uh, dressing as a sophomore, and then getting your chances your junior year.
It's definitely senior night's definitely gonna be a hard one for me. I've put a lot of work and effort into Kouts athletics and the team, and our coaching staff switched, and this year's coach has just brought us to a whole new level mentally. I'm definitely gonna miss everybody on the team. I've created super close bonds and relationships with them, and it's gonna be really sad, but I'm also going to be proud of what I'm leaving behind.
Absolutely. So, what colleges are you currently looking at?
So actually, I did get accepted to the University of St. Francis in Crown Point. It's a medical school, and I'm going to study diagnostic medical imaging. It's like ultrasound tech stuff.
Solid, solid.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, for the rest of this year, okay, what are some things that you work on in the classroom and out to even improve your GPA or uh, even set yourself even better for next year when you go to St. Francis?
Mm-hmm. One of the things I've really been working on recently is my time management and my like studying while I'm using my time management. This past year, I did vocational, and I really learned that like you really need to get your time together if you want to have good grades. Because if you're just kind of slacking off with your time and then you're like, oh, I can push it off till later, it really sets you back a little bit. So I think that's one of the main lessons that I've learned, and I'm continuing to work on is my time management.
Absolutely. So we talked briefly about the coaching change,
Mhm.
but what was that kind of like coming from having this coach for years to now having kind of a different system?
Um, so our current coach, Coach Matt, was our assistant coach last year. So it's not like it was completely different necessarily. He still played a huge role last year. Um, but this year, I honestly feel that Coach Matt has brought this system of like allow yourself to make mistakes. And I feel like past years that kind of got um, a little hidden. It kind of you kind of lose sight of that. But this year he's really like make mistakes because you're gonna grow and you're gonna learn from those mistakes. And I feel like it's allowed us to grow as a team.
Absolutely. So, what kind of self care do you do? Because a lot of the sports nowadays, a lot of athletes like you, it's kind of singleized and it's year round. So, what kind of things do you do for self care to kind of keep yourself focused?
Um, I do have my own workouts that I do because those kind of put me back into a headspace um, to get ready for like the next week. I mean, we have 3 games a week sometimes back to back, and it's very draining. Um, but outside of volleyball, I make sure to really hang out with my friends and my family. They keep me grounded. So that's kind of my health tip.
Absolutely. So, you guys have a pretty big game coming up in Valpo.
Hmm.
And you guys have it in your house. So, what kind of things would you tell your hitters knowing that they're going against bigger and better competition on that front line?
I would tell my hitters that there's probably going to be a big block up there. Some of these girls are super tall over at Valpo. So I would tell them to play smart, probably hit the middle of the court, just because the majority of the time it's open, no matter what team you're really going against. And then I would also tell them to swing hard. Don't be afraid to give a good swing because I mean you have to make sure they're defensively. You got to keep them on their toes. So.
Absolutely. So that Valpo game's a great test because that collision course again runs through South Central. Uh,
Mhm.
so uh, what things can you take from the Viking game that you could use? Because we talked about a little bit of the PCC goals and championship again to go back to back and upset South Central.
I think we could take the pace of the game, the Viking game coming up. I think we could take the pace of that and apply it to the South Central game. I think South Central plays at a very fast level and they play at a smart fast level too. So I feel like if we can transfer what we're getting from Valpo over to South Central, I think we'll be able to come out with a win.
Absolutely. Uh, that's at what they're doing right over there. That's man, 18 and 0.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys got them last year after losing in your house. So what was that feeling like in that PCC championship game?
It was surreal. You could just tell that everybody last year had the mentality that we were just going to go in and we were going to demolish it no matter what. Like, no matter what mistakes were made, we were going to come back and we were just going to keep pushing our hardest, keep the pressure on them, and not let off the gas, is what like some of my coaches would say.
Absolutely. So that first game when we called it, you guys were dominant in the first two sets,
Hmm.
and then coming back and showing mental toughness, and then just dominating again, and then not letting it up like you did before. So was that kind of three sets straight, kind of in the back of your mind when you played it with them against them again in the PCC championship game?
Yes, it was definitely in the back of my mind. It was running through my mind the whole time while I was back there passing.
Okay, cool, 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 cool. Okay, so uh, what's it kind of like knowing that um, you'll have at least regional sports broadcasting that championship game and kind of having the film out there and kind of having it kind of shown for like years with Regan's Corner, with regional, that hey, to your grandchildren, be like, hey, I balled out.
Yeah, I love when our games are broadcasted. I love going back to be able to watch the games. I love being able to critique myself. Um, I love being able to allow people who can't make it to the games, special games like that, to be able to watch it as well. Um, the broadcasting games is very special.
Absolutely. So, what are some things that you want your classmen to kind of remember your class?
I want the underclassmen to remember that when they get to where we are now, currently as seniors, I want them to remember that like it's okay to step out of your comfort zone. It's okay to make relationships with the older girls. Um, and to not be afraid to always put yourself out there because nobody's ever going to judge you um, for giving it your all and for making mistakes while you're on the court.
Absolutely. So, what's your favorite part about the libero position? The digs, or the assist, or the aces?
Probably the digs. I love getting a good dig and then getting an amazing kill off of it. It's like one of the best feelings in the world.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to go to our last segment, the hot corner. We're going to ask you some more kind of fun, loving kind of questions here. Okay, so we're going to start it off here. What is your favorite sports movie of all time?
I have two. One of them being McFarland and the other one being The Blind Side.
Okay, solid two. I like it. Okay, so what's your go to fast food place?
Ooh, probably Culver's.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so what's the pre-game or post-game food of choice?
Post game, probably anything pasta, and pre-game, um, I don't know. Sometimes I probably shouldn't, but sometimes I eat like donuts pre-game. I don't know,
Hey,
just like as a like a treat.
hey, you gotta treat yourself, girl.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta treat yourself, okay? That goes into a little self-care. If you want a donut once in a while before, that's all you, as long as we get a Gatorade with it. Okay, so let's see here. What's your favorite celebration after a great kind of rally on the volleyball court?
My favorite celebration. Um, well, after a rally, probably when we just kind of all like grab each other and we like swing each other around and kind of just like throw each other all over the place. And we're just like yelling. Like that's one of my favorite ones. But I also love doing the airplane or like it's like a classic airplane after aces.
Absolutely. I kind of wanted to ask you that a little bit because starting last year, it was our first year broadcasting volleyball. Um, but we kind of noticed that you guys had an interesting kind of round the rosy kind of celebration.
Mm-hmm.
So when did that kind of start?
I have no idea, honestly. That's been a thing since like I think I've been in middle school. Ever since I've been watching the high school girls, it's like always been a tradition. You just run around in a circle after somebody gets a grade ace.
Okay, because it was unique. It was unique for
Mm-hmm.
us a little bit.
It's
But
definitely a thing.
okay, okay. So let's see here. What is your record going to be at the end of the year?
Well, hopefully we aren't going to lose any more games. I hope we don't go on another losing streak. I hope our record is only going to be up from here.
Absolutely. So, sides South Central, who is your biggest opponent in that Porter County Conference?
Um, Personally, I feel that everybody is kind of on like an even playing field this year. We've had a tough time with Westville recently in a couple of like tournaments. Maybe Westville, yeah.
Yeah. Westville's another one that's pretty good with Benefield and
Hmm.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like you guys did with Hebron, I think if you hit behind their blockers and stuff like that, I think you're good. Because that's their strength is that front with their outside hitters and middle blockers and all that. So, but I will be rooting for you guys. Just not when you guys play Hebron, but it's always a pleasure having you on here, and good luck in the Porter County, and welcome to Regan's Corner Athletes, and we will hopefully do this again at the end of the year.
Hopefully. Thank